Valerie Hunt, RunRx, Ask Me Anything. So it's always, it's always about running pain-free around here, and today's questions was really good. By the way, if you come on and you have a question, happy to answer it. Just post it in the comments, and I'll walk over and read it. So 2 questions that I had today, and one of them is a recurring question that I get all the time, and which is fine, I don't mind answering. And the second question kind of goes with the first question, so it's really fun. So the question was, somebody went and had some work done, somebody watched them run or did a gait analysis, and they were told they have IT band pain, and they were told that it's because of a weak glute. So the question was, can you give me some exercises to help strengthen my glutes for my run? So I want to address that because I'm very much into strength training, and there's a reason to do strength training for running. However, it's not about making specific muscles stronger, so I really want to talk about that. So that was the first question. The second question was, how high do I pull my foot, which I get all the time, but it's a good question, and it's a really nice segue combination with the muscle question with the glutes. And then the third question was about pain. If I'm in pain, I think they said they had a patellar tendonitis. How do I know? Basically what I got from the question was, do I just keep running until I hurt and stop? How do I know it's okay to keep running? And that's a really nice question because especially when we're coming back from an injury or we're dealing with an injury, sometimes you're running and you're like, oh, I know it's coming. I know it's coming, right? So we have a little hesitation in the run. So all really good questions. So let's start with the first question. The first question was all about muscles and the glute muscle. So I want to talk about a couple of things. One is when you're running, all of your muscles are working. Every single one of them. All of them. And it's important to understand that because it's not what we want to give one muscle more love than the other or ignore any muscles because they're all part of the body. However, what people hear and what they see is they are told you have weak glute muscles, so you should strengthen them. So what do the glutes do for you anyway? Let's just talk about when we're standing. When I'm standing, these muscles are holding up my upper body, right? They're not helping me move because I'm just standing there. So then what happens is as soon as we start to move, right, what muscle is actually working right now for my foot to lift up from the ground? It's not the glutes. It's the hamstring, which is here. The hamstring muscle closes the leg. So it's actually what picks the foot up. See, my glutes are just hanging out. What are my glutes doing? They're holding my shoulders up over my hips. They're already working. So I really would prefer to not ask them to work twice. Does that make sense? So in walking and in running, are the glutes working? Sure, but not with an active muscle contraction. So I tell people, like, if you were going to walk with your glutes, so this is just kind of fun. And I do this as an exercise, and I recommend you also. Walking with glutes. So I'm going to squeeze my glutes. Squeeze. You see what happens to the leg? Which direction does it go? Back. So if I try to walk and squeeze my glutes, my leg actually goes behind me. So even if I was walking or running, it's a very inefficient movement pattern. But can I feel my glutes? Sure. Is it a great exercise? Absolutely. Because it helps me, one, strengthen the muscle and to feel it. But also to understand that it's certainly not helping me travel forward. So if I kind of know that, that doesn't mean I don't want them to be strong and active. It just means that I'm not asking my glutes to do work. They already are doing their job of holding my hip, shoulder, ear in line, okay? The hamstring muscle pulls the foot, but I need my hips to be stable when I pull. So I'm using my hamstring. This is you actively talking, contracting this muscle, okay, in place. Then you have to make an agreement with your body. I will pull my foot. You, hamstring, will do the rest, okay? And it's not even an agreement from the hamstring to you. It's you to the hamstring. Because, guys, the hamstring already knows how to do that. If you simply, like if someone ever pushed you from behind, or you have a little dog or a kid and they trip you from behind. When you fall forward, watch, your feet, they pull. That hamstring response is called a reflexive response. It's a natural response of the hamstring. The hamstring is doing that in response to your body weight going forward. It responds by pulling the foot. You see, it's already a blueprint. You already have that ability in your body. We all do. So when people say running is natural, yes it is, in 100%. And moving using gravity is the most natural. Watch little kids, they do it the best. The toddlers are the best, right? As they get older, they mimic movements, not quite the same. You have to kind of go back to the natural movement of your body and let go of unnecessary movements. And the more you do that, the more fun you're going to have in your run. So if you're running, guys, and your hip hurts, instead of thinking, ooh, I need to just do hip strength, which is not a bad thought, you need to think, I'm on the ground too long. I might be pushing, I might be reaching, but either way, something's going on and I'm on the ground too long. Running injuries occur on the ground. So what's the answer? The answer is let me work on getting myself off the ground quicker, which is by pulling, and by making sure I take my upper body and I hold this line. So if anything needs to be strengthened, it's your ability to stand holding your own body weight and on one foot. So standing in the running pose is actually a great way to strengthen the muscles for running. Of course, balance as well, right? And then pulling, skill, strength, correct? So just keep in mind, if you're working on the movement pattern for the movement you're trying to do, and you keep putting yourself in the correct movement pattern, and you keep putting yourself in the right pose for that movement, just imagine when you're running, you're like, oh, this feels so much better. 50% reduction of impact simply by allowing the body weight to fall forward and you pulling the foot up. Isn't that amazing? Whereas if you push off the back or kick with the front or both, 3 times your body weight and then 30-pound weight on the back. Because if I'm here on the ground and my back foot's back here, this is a load. Now my hamstring's like, woo, that's heavy. So because it's heavy, it says, hey hip, give me a hand. And your hip goes, okay. And then it goes, rank, and brings that forward and puts it down. So just imagine if when you're running, you ask the glute and the hip to go back, and then you're like, now bring it back forward. You see how much work that is? Instead of this, up. Very little effort, much less work. And then my glutes and my hip flexors and all of those muscles that help hold this can be very happy that they only have to do their one job. It's when we ask our muscles to do too much work that they get fatigued. So let's go into the next question, which was, how high do I pull my foot? My answer, by the way, if your hip is hurting when you run, reset. Something's going on in the run. So if you haven't already, guys, I have on YouTube, it's the RunRx Reboot. The 30 days, and every day is different. But the idea is if you start at the beginning, it teaches you the basics of how to stand in pose, how to pull the foot, and understanding the methodology. I teach pose method of running, so it's the running pose. And pull is the action, but what's important is I have to understand how do I travel? Falling. That's the fun part. Okay, so now I understand that. If I'm out running and my hip starts to hurt, then you can reset. You can either stand in pose, do a few pulls, or my favorite, pull in place. Most of you guys, if you pull in place, you'll feel no pain. Right? Try it. Just pull in place. Up, 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 up. You see? So then if I have pain once I start to travel, it's a very simple way to think, there's a movement error. Because if this is the same movement that I'm doing, and then I travel and it hurts, it means you're taking this foot and you're either going back or you're going forward instead of up, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind. If I know how to do the movement, it's much easier to get back to my movement. And someone said, why is it then that they're always telling us to push with our glutes? Because that's what we see, right? When you really want to use glutes, guys, is like for a strength exercise, like lunges. Then I'm here and I'm in place, use this glute, and I can lift, you know. You can really get a lot of good glute strength by doing strength exercises, right? So then I know my leg is strong and can hold my body weight so that when I'm running, I can hold my ears, shoulders, hips in line and fall and pull. See, that's kind of the reason why we have the strength exercises, is so you can hold your body weight on that one leg, right? That's when you can work on that hip strength, but it's because when I'm running, I'm always on one foot. So I need to be better at balance and regaining balance. And that requires all that strength and stability stuff, okay? But if I get more comfortable with, I only have to pull my foot only high enough to break contact from the ground. So someone said yesterday, do I take my heel to my butt? No, absolutely not. And most of us can't in place. Like, see how high you can pull in place. The only way you could get your heel up to the butt is if you kick, but even then, see? So that height of pull in place is simply to that figure 4. If you touch the inside of your foot to your standing calf, this is it. This is the running pose. You actually only have to pull this high, right? So why is it that we see like sprinters? Woo, man, their feet pulling so high, they're like way up back here. Yeah, that's called muscle elasticity. And that's from their angle of fall. So they're actually not, I promise you, pulling that high every single time that they're on the ground. They'd be on the ground forever. That's a long height of pull. That's how quick their hamstring is. It's actually, by the way, well, you would know, probably not as quick as mine is, but all of us have the same reflexive response. Meaning, if all you ever do is fall and pull, and don't worry about the height, just pull and do nothing, you see very little height because I wasn't really going anywhere. Those sprinters are falling like an insane amount, right? So if you fall and you pull, your foot is going to pull higher, but you didn't do any more work. You just simply broke contact with the ground and allowed the hamstring to finish the pull. So it's a really nice relationship to develop with the hamstring and then work on your upper body. So all of those things are so important. I did have one more question. Somebody asked me, this is a funny one, not funny. Let's see, how was the question? It was in the breathing. So they said, why is it when I try to do your technique, I'm just getting really sore and winded, right? A very honest question, by the way. And I'll tell you why. It's because you're trying to either kick your butt or pull your foot all the way to pose. So in a sense, you're jumping. Because guys, pushing is jumping. Trying to work that much, it's just a lot of active muscle. So if I'm trying to do this, I also would get very tired. It's fatiguing. So what we see, right, we see arms and legs moving, and it's a natural movement, and that's a challenge. So if I'm watching someone run, and I'm like, man, their arms are going really fast, then when I go run, I'm thinking I should move my arms really fast. Well, their arms are moving fast really because their legs are moving fast, right? So that's an understanding. When you go walking, by the way, try this the next time you walk. Just have your hands by your side and let them swing. Not bent at the elbow, but by your side. If I'm just barely walking, you see how there's no movement? If I come by pretty quick, watch. See how my arms, they'll naturally start to swing. But I'm not doing anything. I'm just picking up my feet a little quicker, right? It's the same. Your arms are balanced. They respond to what's going on here to keep you in balance. That's why when we stand in pose, our arms are bent by our side. However, when you're running, you should feel and sense that the arms are, in fact, will swing a little bit, not because you're swinging them, but because you don't have any tension. So a lot of this movement comes from letting go of tension. So instead of thinking, I need to move my arms more, actually your thought needs to be, I need to relax them more. See, let muscles go. The more you let muscles go, then when you're running, you will be able to feel more movement instead of restricting. Because if I'm holding, I'm restricting, right? So the more you can get comfortable with Relax your upper body, especially in your warm-up or in your drills. Get comfortable with just pulling that foot up from the ground. Feel it. And then you've got to play with falling. That's all up to you. Using gravity, I have a ton of drills. You see them all the time. That's why I highly encourage going through the reboot, because it takes you through a progression, so you don't just feel like you're randomly hopping around and doing drills. So to keep that in mind, someone else asked me, they're like, where do I start? Start with day one. I actually just put this out on a story last night. I've been playing with this. 2 things to think about when you're running. I only have to pull my foot, that's it, and where am I falling to? So we work the most on the pull because it's something we can control, right? So doing pull drills, I've been doing these, just playing with, as I throw, I've got to be able to pull and catch. See, just a little coordination drill. And we think only of pulling rather than how high am I pulling? Where's my foot? I'm not thinking any of those things. My foot's on the ground, I sense it. So as soon as I pull, look, my other foot's back on the ground. The quicker you can let go of how high I pull my foot, where's my foot, feel it, you know, it's here. You can only sense body weight when it's on the ground. So as soon as you feel your foot's on the ground, pull, right? And the more you play with some of these drills, then when you're running, you start to get better at thinking up, up, up. It's just kind of a natural progression. So you'll start to hold your body up, let go a little bit more. It's a lot more fun. All right, guys, another fun Wednesday. I love talking running. So keep the questions coming. Again, go through that reboot. If you want me to watch you run, always happy to do that. Come in through the quiz. We have a great quiz on our site also. Like, I have a calf pain in my run. Go through the quiz. It'll help you to see maybe you're pushing, right? And it's okay. Instead of thinking, oh, I shouldn't push, or I shouldn't heel strike, or I shouldn't do these, let me help you figure out, just here, just do this. And if I just do this, I'm going to get better at doing this. And I keep getting better at doing this, I'm just going to get better at running. All of those things will go away. Just focusing on what to do. Hola, good to see you. All right, guys, have a great week. See you next Wednesday. Thank you.